Hello there and welcome to CoreTV News at 4 with me, Sabana Izuku. Speaker of Niger State House of Assembly, Adamu Usman, has been impeached by 18 of 27 members, with Isa Kawo of Bido 1 State constituency elected new speaker. Activities at the State House of Assembly were halted following the sealing up of the Niger State House of Assembly complex by a combined team of police and operatives of the Department of State Services, allegedly in bid to stop threats by the members of the Assembly to impeach the State Governor Babangida Aliyu. The Assembly members, however, defied the presence of armed security men and forced their way into the Assembly complex after damaging the chain used in locking the gate. The police officer, a deputy superintendent of police, however, said he was not with the keys of the gate. After about an hour, the mace arrived and the House settled down for preliminary, with 19 out of 25 members of the Assembly present. Following the absence of the Speaker, Adamu Usman, for preliminary, as agreed during the executive meeting on Monday, a member of the House, Abdullahi Akwano, representing Agai constituency, drew the attention to the House to order 8 of the House standing rules, which provides that in the absence of the Speaker from the House without any reason, a Speaker pro tempore be appointed to enable the proceeding of the House. Consequently, a motion was moved by the members representing Boso constituency, Usman Dada, for the appointment of a Speaker pro tempore, and this was seconded by another member. Jacob Magigana, representing Lavun constituency, added that the absence of the leadership of the House had caused them some level of embarrassment and therefore moved for the removal of the leadership. And away from that, Adamu Usman, the embattled Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly, has described his purported impeachment as unconstitutional, illegal, null and void, and of no effect. Briefing journalists shortly after his impeachment at the NUJ Press Center, Amina, the former Speaker, who was accompanied by his impeached deputy, Abdulrahman Bala Gambo, and other impeached principal officer of the House, insists that he is still the Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly. The embattled Speaker claims that the leadership of the House has done everything possible to let the executive realize that the House needs funds to keep the business of the House going. But because of the economic situation in the country, nothing has been done. Besides, the Speaker disclosed that there was a court injunction from the State House Court signed by the Chief Judge, Justice Fatih Lami Abubakar, restraining the defendants, 21 other members, jointly and severally from setting in motion any process of impeachment pending determination of the motion on Moses. On his reaction, the alleged impeachment threat on Governor Aliyu, Adamu says, what it means now is that the Governor, Muazu Babangida Aliyu, should get himself prepared because I advised him beforehand on this matter. So anything that comes out of it, he should get prepared. Governors elected under the platform of the All Progressive Congress are worried about the state of the economy and want President-elect Muhammed to do something about it as soon as he is sworn in. They also solicited his support for an intervention fund to enable state governors clear the backlog of workers' salaries. They made the appeal when they visited President-elect Muhammad Buhari in Abuja. The report.
The delegation of APC governors is a mix of incumbent state executives and incoming ones. Their mission, they say, is to deliberate with the president-elect on the high expectations of Nigerians from the incoming administration. But first, the governors expressed concern over the state of the economy, which they described as worrisome. They want the president-elect to quickly rescue the situation when he assumes office on May 29.
We do know that corruption has been one of the major factors leading to this situation we find ourselves. And your stand on anti-corruption is one that has given you this victory. We hope you are coming in, will correct all these skills, and we have a new, stronger economy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As soon as you are sworn in, you have one major issue to tackle. That is the issue of payment of salaries at the state level. At state level and federal level.
The governors expressed their willingness to work with the incoming president, but also want him to carry them along. They are also worried about the unity of the country, which they say is paramount in ensuring a prosperous nation.
So your greatest partners in this movement are the governors of the various states. And we kindly request that we should be carried along in major decision making. And I'm happy our national chairman is here listening. That we should be carried along in major decision making. And so we can contribute the feelings of our people from the various states.
For his part, the president-elect says his first priority is the unity of the country. He also promised to come up with ideas that will improve the economy.
Gentlemen, we really deserve congratulations that we are here. And we emphasize the problem ahead of us. We have to continue to seek the support of understanding of our constituency so that they will give us the chance to quickly do as much as we can to stabilize the security of the economy of the country.
The president-elect also called on Nigerians not to expect magic from the incoming administration, but rather they should join hands with his administration to build a better Nigeria for all. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Reports just reaching us about the impeachment of the Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly, saying that there is heavy security presence at the main entrance of the Niger State Assembly complex. Unfortunately, journalists have been barred from recording current happenings at the complex. In another development, we hear that the cars belonging to the former Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly, Adamu Usman, were vandalized in the early hours of today. The windscreen of the cars which were parked at his residence was smashed. At the Niger State Assembly complex, on the other hand, the new Speaker of the House, Issa Kawo, and members of the House sympathetic to him were denied access as policemen aired tear gas to disperse the crowd. And away from that, a double amputee is embarking on a trek from Kaduna State to Abuja to meet with President-elect Muhammad Buhari. Musa Ibrahim told CoreTV News shortly after the takeoff that he decided on the long trek to draw attention to the flight of physically challenged Nigerians. Amina Anebi has more on this report presented from our studio.
This man is trekking from Kaduna to Abuja, just like Sulaiman Kashimu, who recently spent 19 days working from Lagos to Abuja. But unlike the Lagos trekker, 30-year-old Musa Muhammed is a double amputee. He has opted to trek to Abuja from Kaduna to deliver a message to the president-elect on the need to consider physically challenged persons for political appointment.
We want you to deliver this letter to our humble president-elect, congratulating him on his new position.
He also hopes that incoming government will do better than the outgoing one in the area of employment for disabled persons.
I'm trying to appreciate what Allah has done for us by giving us a new set of government from the state up to the national level, for giving us Nasir El-Rufai as Kaduna State Governor-elect and President-elect as Muhammad Buhari.
Asked how he hopes to cope during the exercise, Musa had this to say.
President-elect has made a promise to eradicate corruption and stabilize the economy, but it can only succeed if we support him.
He plans to get to Abuja in 5 days and hopefully have a one-on-one section with the President-elect Muhammad Buhari on a plight to physically challenged Nigerians.
Acting Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase has ordered the payment of all salaries and arrears due to a female sergeant who had been sick for some time. Ajuma Ibrahim, who until now was attached to Lagos State Command, had not been paying salaries since June 2013 that she took ill. But a popular radio talk show in Abuja focused attention on her flight and on Wednesday followed up with a live phone call to the police chief. The police confirmed in a statement that IG Arase invited the talk show crew to his office where, after due briefing from the police budget, it was discovered that she had not been paid because of her inability to fill the required emolument forms. The Inspector General, however, ordered the resolution of all the issues and restoration of her salary, and also ordered her transfer from Lagos to the force headquarters in Abuja. He also directed force medical officers to ensure that she gets urgent access to required medical attention. President Goodluck Jonathan is to commission the multi-billion naira Umaru Musa Yar'Adua Expressway, otherwise known as Airport Road, and the Murtala Muhammed Expressway, Cuba, on Thursday. Federal Capital Territory Minister Bala Muhammed, who disclosed this, said it would showcase the transformation agenda of the federal government. Minister revealed that the commissioning needs to take place at the Lugbe interchange along the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua Expressway. He added that the President Jonathan also plans to inspect the ongoing Abuja Light Rail project. The Presidential Advisory Council on International Relations has held a valedictory meeting with President Goodluck Jonathan. The council, led by its chairman and former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Emeka Anyauku, disclosed that the visit is the last meeting with the outgoing president. Speaking with journalists after a breakfast meeting with the president at the presidential villa, Chief Anyauku said the country owed Jonathan a huge debt of gratitude, not only for conceding defeat, but also for delivering credible elections.
Well, we had an excellent valedictory meeting with the president. This being the last meeting of our council and the last time we are meeting with the outgoing president. We told him that our nation, Nigeria, owes him a huge debt of gratitude for what he has done in terms of the elections, the success of the elections, and above all, in terms of his gesture in picking up his telephone and congratulating the president-elect even before the results of the final results of the elections were announced. That singular act has earned our country a great deal of admiration and respect abroad, and we thanked him and congratulated him on that, and we also wished him well for his future endeavors.
Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola says his administration will continue to explore ways of providing homegrown solutions to developmental challenges. Fashola stated this at the commissioning of the Lagos Court of Arbitration at Etiosa local government area of the state. Abiola Oluwole's report is presented from our studio.
I come to the state formally commission and dedicate the Lagos Court of Arbitration Center for Arbitration and Dispute Resolution.
The Court of Arbitration Center, according to Governor Fashola, will provide a neutral alternative dispute resolution arising from commercial activities in the state and West African sub-region. Fashola reiterated that the International Arbitration Center is part of the initiative of his administration at fast-tracking desirable solution to dispute resolution.
We will dedicate this facility to the cause of parties and to the pursuit of durable solutions achieved through the full power of equity.
He, however, disclosed that the court will be handed over to the private sector for effective management.
Is that it will be handed over to the Lagos Court of Arbitration, totally run by private sector, delivered. Government has done its bit now, so this baby must run on its own steam.
The Executive Secretary of the Court of Arbitration, Mega Justice, says the court is set with all consideration to be independent. After the commissioning of the Court of Arbitration, Fashola proceeded to hand over 5 stations in Lekki Phase 2 and Family Park and Canopy Walkway at the Nigerian Conservation Foundation Center, also in Lekki. The People's Democratic Party has inaugurated a 15-man committee to unravel the remote and immediate cause of the party performance at the last general elections. The PDP Post-Election Review Committee is headed by Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu. PDP National Chairman Adamu Muazu told committee members to take a critical look at the party's preparation for the 2015 general elections with a view to determining its adequacies in lapses. Basil Okafor has more in this report.
After suffering its first presidential election defeat since 1999, the PDP is set to reinvent itself. But the party leaders agree that they must first resolve all issues that led to the party's poor outing in the 2015 general elections. To achieve this, the National Working Committee of the party has set up a committee saddled with the responsibilities of finding a solution out of its present predicament.
That the National Working Committee, under the able leadership of His Excellency the National Chairman Alhaji Adamu Amadu Muazu, has carefully selected committed party leaders, accomplished administrators, patriotic Nigerians to form this committee that is to be known as the PDP Post-Election Review Committee. And the terms of reference of this committee are as follows. 1. To identify the remote and immediate causes of the relatively poor performance of the PDP in the 2015 general elections. 2. To trace the origin and process of the seeming decline of the party in its electoral performance. 3. To take a critical look at the preparations and build-up of the PDP to the general elections and determine its adequacies and lapses.
Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu is heading the committee that was handed the responsibility of reviewing the party's performance. He assured party leaders of his committee's readiness to carry out the task without fear or favor.
We assure you all that we will carry out this assignment to the best of our ability and without fear or favor. We earnestly request members of our party to avail the committee all necessary information in line with the terms of reference earlier mentioned.
The committee is to, among others, determine the lapses that led to PDP losing its 16-year hold onto power. These, according to party leaders, is with a view to proposing a roadmap for the party to recover its past glory.
We'll go for a short break, and when we return, CoreTV News on the Hour continues. To stay with us.
One continent, 54 countries, over 2,000 languages, but united with similar interests. As news breaks, we give you in-depth analysis around Africa every Monday on CoreTV News.
Welcome back to the news. For more information, you can reach us on our social media platform, and that's on facebook.com/CoreTV News. And our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. For news updates and other programs, you can stream us live on youtube.com/CoreTV Space and the news. The first international summit on digital broadcasting in Nigeria and the 63rd General Assembly of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria is holding currently in Abuja. The Director General of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, Emeka Mba, says June deadline for total switch to the digital platform is no longer feasible. We'll bring you more on this in a subsequent bulletin. And away from that, the federal government has set aside 145 billion naira for fuels subsidy in the 2015 budget. This, according to Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, is contrary to reports that there is no provision for subsidy payments in the spending plan. She made this clarification while giving a breakdown of the 2015 budget in Abuja. The minister also insisted that the Nigerian economy is more stable than those of many oil producing countries in the world, in spite of the global oil slump. President Goodluck Jonathan has approved the appointment of Asabe Ahmed as Executive Secretary of the Petroleum Equalization Fund, PEF. Ahmed is the incumbent Minister of State for Agriculture and Rural Development. Presidential spokesman Ruben Abati said the president has also named Denzel Ketembe as Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Contents Management Development Board. The two appointments come less than a month to the end of the President Goodluck Jonathan tenure in office. The House of Representatives has rejected calls for a total removal of subsidy on petroleum products. This follows the failure of a motion by a lawmaker from Kogi State, Karimi Sunday, who believes the perennial fuel scarcity would end if government removes subsidy. Representatives Sunday had argued that only a few persons enjoyed the subsidy and wanted the industry fully liberalized to allow investors import products on their own without waiting to abuse the subsidy regime. But when Deputy Speaker Emeka Ihiedoha put the motion to vote, it was defeated in a majority voice vote. The nationwide fuel scarcity is biting harder on Ekiti residents, and despite the fund released by the federal government, retail marketers in Ekiti State says the impact of this cannot be felt as problem of scarcity may linger further than expected. Our correspondent Rashid has more.
The current situation of fuel scarcity witnessed across the country has not exempted Ado-Ekiti. Long queues are noticeable at major fuel stations as residents strive to get the scarce commodity, and in the event of not being able to buy at the pump, they will resort to the mercy of black market sellers who cash in on the situation to make bumper sales. The people did not hide their displeasure of the situation as they frantically asked for the government's intervention.
It hasn't been that easy. Imagine somebody going to the office, leaving the office to come and queue for several hours. How productive will such an individual be? And is it not affecting our economy? I'm only praying that the federal government should do something about it, and very urgent.
It's unbearable. This fuel scarcity is unbearable. In fact, the price we are even though buying it, we never even though see the fuel at all.
With the release of funds to independent marketers, retail marketers speaking with CoreTV in Ado-Ekiti said the government's intervention may not pay off so soon as the fund was released for bulk marketers alone.
This petroleum sector, before it's regularized, it will take at least 3, 4, 5 or 1 week before it could regularize. Therefore, you know, this scarcity went for about 1 week. Before things can take back to shape, we should be expecting at least 2 weeks.
With the fuel scarcity lingering on, it is hoped that the situation will come to an end in earnest as Nigerians bear the brunt the most. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
Following years of turbulent relationship with Plateau workers, speculations depict that the Plateau State Governor John Ajang will hand over with public service workers still on strike. This assertion becomes obvious as the organized labor union in the state have embarked on an indefinite strike to push more demands for salary payments and minimum wage, amongst others. The head of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Nigerian Union of Teachers, and the National Union of Local Government Employees all bear their minds in the total support of the ongoing industrial action. The report.
In 2012, Plateau State local government employees embarked on a 6-month strike. Also, the staff of the various state tertiary institutions have been in and out of strikes more than thrice since last year. And now the entire workforce of the state have stayed off work to protest what it terms inhuman treatment by the John Ajang administration, citing continuous refusal to pay salaries and other entitlements as major reasons for the industrial action.
Commenced an indefinite strike today, as you are aware, and there's a total shutdown of public sector of Plateau State. Workers under the state government, local government, and primary school education, secondary school education, we shut our services down. But government is unable to meet up with our demands.
The state chairman of Nigerian Union of Teachers, Gushin Yarlings, claims workers in the state have never had it this bad. He accused the state governor of using the biometric verification exercise to stop the salaries of more than half of the teachers in the state, and that even those who were verified have been denied their wages for more than 14 months. He therefore called on his over 18,000 members to adhere strictly to the conditions of the strike action.
I said Nigerian Union of Teachers, with the biometric data capturing, currently those that have been captured, which we can assure you that they are teachers, they are about 18,000 plus. And then we still have 4,000 on the ground, including religious instructors that are yet to be captured.
On a spot, the state head of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, Comrade Mufayai, says the workers have been asking for the strike action to commence and are elated that the leadership of the various unions have finally agreed to take the bull by the horns.
Very, very satisfied. We are fighting for their rights. Ordinarily, if it were just for the union leaders, we wouldn't do what we are doing. We're not enjoying it, but we have to do it. It's an obligation. So we have to do it. Our members have complied 100%. In fact, they have been waiting and wishing to see this day. The day has come. And I want to assure you, you can go around the local governments and see the level of compliance.
The Senate has mandated its Committee on Defense and Army to investigate the circumstance behind a recent attack on some communities in Plateau State that left over 80 persons dead. This was on the basis of a motion moved by Senator Victor Lau, who represents Plateau South in the Senate. Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu issued the order after listening to the gory pictures of death and destruction painted by the senator. Lau had claimed that the attackers, who destroyed at least 5 villages, were dressed in outfits that looked like something like that of an army.
Their operations tended to imply that they were not genuine Nigerian army personnel, because they used matches to hack down people. They shot at and killed women and children. They killed men, uniformed policemen and civil defense personnel. They burned down every and any house within reach, and they used petrol to burn the bodies of the victims that they killed. The essence of making this explanation, Mr. President, is that when our brothers and sisters in the Northeast were under the heavy yoke of insurgency, and there were operations that tended to imply that it was either the army or Boko Haram, this Senate took the wise decision of listening and sending a committee to investigate and reporting.
Our prayer is that we should see to the end of this insurgency in any form, whether it is military, armed militia, or insurgency, or any kind of unfortunate attack on ordinary citizens. We condemn it and hope that it will come to an end as short as possible time. Since we are not sure whether this operation came from the armed forces or insurgents or armed militia, let me quickly suggest that the Committee on Defense should contact the Military High Command to verify the identity of those who carried out this attack.
The Progressive Congress Party may be heading for a brick wall few weeks before it takes over the mantle of leadership if it fails to consider equitable distribution in its choice of appointment among the 6 geopolitical zones that make up Nigeria. A group of the South-South Equity Forum at the media briefing in Benin has called on the President-elect Muhammed Buhari to reflect federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity in line with the 1999 Constitution. The report. Addressing newsmen, the group, through its spokesman Harrison Omagbon, says the speakership position be ceded to the South-South region. He said for equity's sake and for the continued adherence to the federal character principle, the position should be for the South-South.
The Southwest and Northwest already have the position of President and Vice President respectively. It is only fair and just, and as a matter of necessity, if the Senate presidency goes to either the Northeast or North Central. The speakership should go to the South-South. While the Southwest has a Vice President, invariably the speakership should come from the South-South, since the Southeast has no ranking member.
The group said the APC as a party cannot afford the crisis that will arise from the mismanagement of her victory, which was why the PDP lost in the last election across the country. The group, which had its representatives mainly from Edo State, had no single coordinator from the state in the South-South in attendance, which claimed, just as they appealed to the president-elect, the leadership of the APC to be on the side of the fair play, equity and justice. After the break, we return with business, sports and other stories outside Nigeria. To stay with us.
Every day, every hour and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. that's what we do right here on DG360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. And in business, federal government plans to sell 60 billion naira worth of sovereign bonds on the 13th of May, the Debt Management Office says on Tuesday. It will sell 5, 10 and 20-year sovereign bonds according to the DMO. It says it will sell 20 billion naira each of the papers due to mature in 2020, 2024, 2034 respectively. The papers are reopenings of previous issues and the results of the auction will be published the following day. And away from that, National Council on Privatisation has approved a new draft policy for the reform of national parks in the country. Consequently, the Council has directed the Minister of Environment to present all the necessary legal and regulatory documents for the enactment of a National Parks Bill in the country to the Federal Executive Council for approval. The documents are the Draft Policy, Nigeria, National Parks Draft, National Park Service Bill and Draft Implementation Frameworks for National Park Service Sector. This decision taken by the NCP took place at the meeting in the Presidential Villa. The Central Bank of Nigeria says it has disbursed the sum of 60 billion naira to Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Fund. The CBN Governor's Special Advisor on Development Finance, Paul Eluahayu, gave the figure during the commencement of the disbursement of the fund to the fiscally challenged. According to Eluahayu, each state of the Federation will be able to access 2 billion naira, which would be administered to beneficiaries at an interest rate of 9%. Also, 2% of the fund, representing about 4.4 billion naira, will be made available for economically active, fiscally challenged entrepreneurs. Speaking to journalists shortly after the commencement, Eluahayu says criteria to get this fund might be stringent, because the CBN is being careful to ensure that those who actually got the fund had the ability to repay. This is because the microfinance bank have conditions to meet. He urged the fiscally challenged who had benefited from the fund to make efficient use of it, adding that the APA's bank objectives to ensure financial inclusion was responsible for the move. The 220 billion naira MSME funds, which was inaugurated in August 2014, had 60% earmarked for providing financial service to women in order to address their peculiar financial inclusion circumstances. Other states that benefited from the 220 billion naira MSME funds are Osun, Benue, and Delta State. And in sports, Chairman of the English Football Association, Greg Dyke, has pledged to do everything possible to promote collaboration with the Nigerian Football Federation. Dyke spoke on Tuesday at a meeting with the Nigerian Football Federation President Amaju Pinnick at the offices of the FA at Wimbledon Stadium, London. At the meeting, Pinnick extolled the virtue of the FA and his admiration of the English football culture, and not for the first time spoke of his desire to build a sustainable football culture in Nigeria, telling his English counterpart that for many reasons they have every reason to want to work with Nigeria. Amaju Pinnick rounded up his visit by bringing to the notice of his English counterpart that the last time England played Nigeria in a friendly was more than 20 years ago. Dyke immediately instructed that his aides should take it up with the department managing the England national team and promised to speak to manager Roy Hodgson about it. It was agreed that should the October date not be feasible, then there should be an England-Nigerian friendly at the next available opportunity. The Nigerian Football Federation has made known the venue for all 32 matches of the rounds of 64 of this year's Men's Federation Cup competition, as well as the 2 first-round matches of the Women's competition. A release signed by the head of Federation Cup, Ruth David, showed that Moje Queens of Ilorin will play Golden Babes of Abakiliki in Warri, while Ogini Queens of Oshogbo will tackle Rising Queens of Akure in Ilorin. Both matches come up on Thursday, the 14th of May. In the men's event, Eyimba Stadium, Aba will host the clash between 8-time winners Shooting Stars of Ibadan and one-time champion of the Plateau United of Jos and one-time winners Kaduna United and 5-time champions Enugu Rangers will trade tackles in Lokoja. The all-Bayelsa clash between Nembe City and Bayelsa United will play out at Nero Stadium. Anambra and Giwa FC will lock horns with Kukuruku Dragons of Benin in Mina, while FC Abuja and Wiki Tourist are up for the battle in Katsina. Pep Guardiola has returned to slay the team of his heart, rise Zito Madun, but Barcelona has changed in the fundamental ways in the intervening years, and so have Bayern Munich. Prodigal son returns, though not as wasteful, but certainly as extravagant. Rather than returning to be employed again by Barcelona, Pep Guardiola is coming home to slay the ones that he holds dear in his heart. He is also returning to be welcomed by an old friend and former teammate in Luis Enrique, who is on the verge of repeating Guardiola's feat with the Catalan giants. Meanwhile, Real Madrid suffered a 2-1 defeat from Juventus. Marif will now hope to overturn the result when both sides meet again next week at Santiago Bernabeu. Floyd Mayweather says winners win and losers have excuses after Manny Pacquiao blamed the shoulder injuries for his loss to the American in Las Vegas. Pacquiao is being sued in Nevada after being accused of lying about shoulder injury he suffered pre-fight. Nevada Athletic Commission says Pacquiao 36 did not declare the problem, but Filipino claims a treatment plan was agreed with United States Anti-Doping Agency. He could face a fine or suspension. Pacquiao is being sued by 2 people in Nevada who have alleged the boxer defrauded ticket buyers, television viewers, and gamblers. They have opened lawsuits just hours after the NHC accused the fighter of being dishonest by not declaring his injury on the pre-fight questionnaire, which has also led to suggestions that he could face a charge of perjury. The State Attorney General office is investigating. McLaren has unveiled the first fundamental new color scheme on their Formula One car for 18 years. The team have ditched the predominantly silver livery they have sported since 1997 in favor of graphite gray with day-glow orange highlights. It is only the second major change of color scheme for the team since 1974. A spokesman described the new design as dynamic, predatory graphite gray coloration complemented by Malin and day-glow speed marks and key lines. He added the idea was to optimize the car not only for the bright sunshine but also for floodlights used in the twilight and night race. The livery will make its first appearance at this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. And outside Nigeria, party leaders in the United Kingdom and candidates are making a last-ditch grab for the votes on the final day of campaigning before the general election polls. Prime Minister David Cameron says the country was stronger than it was 5 years ago, but there was more to do. Ed Miliband urged people to vote to reward hard work in our country again, while Nick Clegg said Lib Dems would offer stability and decency. Polls suggest no party will win enough seats for an outright majority. Reports say politicians, pollsters and the media were struggling to read the election, leading many to focus on what might happen if there is an uncertain result. The main party leader have been crisscrossing the country in their battle buses as they attempt to drum up support ahead of Thursday polls. After starting the day in South Wales, Cameron is heading to northwest England, Scotland and mainland, while Miliband is visiting conservative held marginal seats in the north of England. Clegg, who set off from Land's End on Tuesday, is heading to John O'Groats through Scottish constituency his party is hoping to retain. And that's it on the news of 4. Do join us at 6 for Global News. I am Sabana Uzoki. Thank you very much indeed for watching.